It was not a time when there were lots of toys available, whether at Christmas time or otherwise. So actually the emphasis as far as children were concerned was to make your games or your play yourself. And this is where something like marbles fit perfectly into that particular environment.
Marbles was a simple game. All it required was a piece of dirt and a few marbles. Didn't require expensive equipment. Everybody made up their own rules. You and your friend got together and said, we got these marbles, this is what we're going to play with them.
We played a lot of marbles practically every day, and if it rained, we usually went in what they called the cloak hall, and we were known to go in there and shoot marbles during our recess time. So we played a lot of marbles when I was growing up.
We played at the local playgrounds for fun and for ammunition for our slingshots.
The drop C, where you drop into a boot or a hole, you know. And so nothing really special. Stuff we made up ourselves, and of course that's what you did when you were kids, you made up your games. So
as we grew up, we were poor and we couldn't afford, you know, to buy marbles, or so that's how we ended up at the playgrounds playing, and we would win, my brothers and my cousins and all of us.
I know my father told me that he was the one that taught me how to play marbles, but the truth of the matter is he was a prisoner of the Japanese in the Philippines for 3.5 years. I think I was taught how to play marbles probably by my older brother, who was 7 years older than I was.
The 1940s and 50s were certainly a period of adjustment in American life. After the war, honestly, there's probably more adjustment that has to take place because of the returning fathers. They're not used to being fathers. They've experienced things that their family and children have never seen, and the fathers hope they never do.
VFW is Veterans of Foreign Wars, and they're an organization that was founded as a way when soldiers returned home. It was a way to help them kind of come back into society. So what they were looking for is the ability for an activity that they could involve these gentlemen, the veterans, and they also wanted a way to kind of re-engage the youth at the time. A lot of the boys of this period had grown up without a male figure in their life because they were off fighting in the war.
My father was the one that always chaperoned me, and every spring, I always played a lot of marbles, but every spring, boy, he'd tell me, start practicing, because the city marble championships coming up or the state's coming up, and he made sure I practiced every year.
The city marble tournament was going to be held at one of the grade schools, and I remember going home and asking my mother if she'd take me to it because I wanted to watch it. And on the way out of the house Saturday morning, I picked up a marble out of the driveway. The gentleman in charge of the tournament was Henry Hasbrook. He said, "Richard, would you represent Hawley School?" The winner and runner-up in Hawley School did not show up. I said, "Certainly." And that's how I got to the Nationals.
first city tournament in Mitchell in 1948, there were over 200 contestants. So that was pretty, Mitchell was a small town, 10, 11,000 people. That was pretty, a lot of activity there.
The VFW treated us just so great. They had everything so organized, and even the women's auxiliary was fantastic. They just did a great job.
They spent a lot of time planning these tournaments, particularly the national tournaments, so that when a boy went to the national tournament, he went home with experiences he would never forget.
The national tournament was in Tucson, Arizona, and one of the things I really remember about that is they took some of us where they were filming the TV series Rawhide, and one of the co-stars in that series was Clint Eastwood.
We were able to meet him and take pictures, and you know, he had signed autographs.
The VFW gave us all cowboy hats, and the sad part about that story is a few years later, my parents were looking for space in the house, so they threw my hat away. So I can't imagine what that hat would be worth now, but it would be worth a lot of money. I didn't take a light jacket with me, so I had to wear a sport coat. So I have a picture of me fishing and catching flounder with a sport coat on.
They had functions for us every single day. And then we played marbles at night in the armory.
We actually stayed in barracks and slept on the army cots.
At that time, television was not national, it was local. So each night we were on television. We had 1,500 watt bulbs above each court, so when you were there, you were sweating.
That radio station was broadcasting that marble tournament. The way that guy was broadcasting, you'd have thought it was the World Series going on. He did the play-by-play and he was so excited.
There was articles in the paper that I was very proud of, like the story about my sister throwing my marbles out because they were messy in the house. That was picked up by the Mitchell Republic paper.
So this gentleman came out of the stands afterwards and he said, "Iowa, I like the way you shoot. I just won some good money on you." And I said, "Thank you." And this went on the second night. And when I won, he came down and gave me a $50 bill, which I'd never seen such a thing before in my life. And it was in my hand for about 5 seconds before my mother took it, and of course I never saw it again.
Jim Mirasola still wears to this day a watch he received as a 10-year-old.
And on the back, it's engraved 1957 VFW National Marble Tournament Sportsmanship Award. And this watch has been through a lot, but it's still ticking.
I also won a special built 1949 Whizzer motorbike, which my mother did not want me to have.
His mother and the mother of the boy he was playing against from Utah for the championship were sitting together in the championship match. Each one of them was rooting for the other boy because neither one of them wanted their son to come home with a motorcycle.
Well, it changed my life to the extent that I had motorized wheels and I could get away from home. That was the best part.
My dad built a trophy case right in our living room. We had so many trophies that he, instead of having them sitting all on top of all the furniture, he figured, well, he'll build a trophy case, and that's what he did. It turned out pretty good.
There's honesty in marbles. You always had kids that tried to manipulate something, like bringing Steelies to the game or something like that. It's part of growing up.
I think it kind of disciplines you. It teaches you sportsmanship. It teaches you how to win, how to lose. Win or lose, you always had to be a good sport.
Back then, during the war, my brother and I both failed. He failed second grade, I failed third grade. I felt bad about it because my friends moved ahead. What marbles taught me was feel good about myself. I looked to that as the kind of a saving thing for me.
To this day, if I see younger people do something good, we'll try to help them, try to encourage them. Because I remembered older people constantly say, "Hey Jimmy, I remember when you won that state marble championship." And that always stuck with me. The fact that older people would just take the time to think about it.
What I see is that it really helped fathers who came back from the service start doing things with their kids. Very seldom my father and I would do things together, but I realized that, gee, this brought us together. And I think that was one of the best benefits of this activity.
They were just playing marbles. It was something they loved to do. It was something they were good at. The thought of losing these memories wasn't something I was willing to give up on.
Playing for keeps. Every marble you shot out of the ring, you put in your pocket, it was yours. I loved to play for keeps.